An 82-year-old woman sits in her living room, feeling exhausted despite sleeping 8 hours. Her head feels foggy. She struggles to concentrate on her crossword puzzle. She assumes it's just part of getting older. Meanwhile, across town, her friend of the same age wakes up refreshed, sharp, and energetic. She sleeps in the same city, eats similar food, takes similar medications. What's the difference? Here's what shocked researchers when they measured it: the air quality in their bedrooms. The exhausted woman's bedroom had carbon dioxide levels over 2,000 parts per million by morning. Her friend's bedroom, under 800 parts per million. Same age, same health conditions, completely different air. And that difference explained everything. But here's what's truly alarming. Most people over 60 are breathing air that's slowly robbing them of energy, sleep quality, and mental clarity, and they have no idea it's happening because the threat is completely invisible. Scientists studying indoor air quality made a disturbing discovery. Every single day, about 11,000 liters of air pass through your lungs. That's roughly 2,900 gallons. By volume, air is the #1 substance entering your body, more than food, more than water, more than anything else. Yet most people spend more time thinking about what brand of bottled water to buy than about the air they breathe 24 hours a day. And here's the part that changes everything for people over 60. Your lungs aren't as efficient as they used to be. Your mucous membranes are more vulnerable. Your immune system responds more slowly. The same air quality that might barely affect a 30-year-old can significantly impact your health, your sleep, your cognitive function. The final revelation we'll share is so counterintuitive that when researchers first published it, people didn't believe it. The worst air in your home isn't in the bathroom or kitchen. It's in the room where you spend 7 to 9 hours completely motionless every night, your bedroom. And what accumulates there while you sleep is affecting you far more than you realize. Let me explain everything clearly and show you exactly how to fix it. Think about what happens when you close your bedroom door and windows before sleep. You're creating a sealed box. Then you climb in and spend the next 7 to 9 hours breathing in that sealed space. Every breath you exhale releases carbon dioxide. In an 8-hour night, one person produces enough CO2 to raise a typical bedroom's level from 400 parts per million to over 2,000 parts per million. That's 5 times higher than outdoor air. But here's what most people don't understand, and this is critical, absolutely critical. Carbon dioxide itself isn't the main problem. It's what CO2 levels tell you about everything else building up in that sealed room. When CO2 is high, it means ventilation is poor. And when ventilation is poor, other things accumulate with it. Volatile organic compounds from your furniture and mattress. Moisture from your breathing that creates perfect conditions for dust mites and mold. Fine particles that you've brought in on your clothes. Hundreds of other substances your body releases through breathing and skin. Research shows that at CO2 levels above 1,000 parts per million, many people experience drowsiness and reduced focus. But it's usually not the CO2 itself causing this. It's the entire cocktail of stale air that CO2 represents. And here's what matters specifically for people over 60. Your body's ability to process these pollutants decreases with age. Your lungs have reduced capacity. Your mucous membranes, which are your first defense against airborne threats, become drier and less effective. The same air quality that might cause mild discomfort in someone younger can significantly impact your sleep quality, morning alertness, and overall health. Studies tracking seniors found that those sleeping in poorly ventilated rooms had 40% worse sleep quality scores, woke up feeling unrested despite adequate sleep duration, and showed measurably slower cognitive function in morning tests. Now, let's talk about what you're actually breathing. Danger number 1. Humidity problems. Think of air as a glass and temperature as the size of that glass. The warmer the air, the more water it can hold, like a bigger glass holding more liquid. In winter, cold outdoor air is like a small glass with very little water in it. When that air enters your home and heats up, the glass suddenly becomes huge, but the amount of water stays the same. Now you have this giant glass with barely any water at the bottom. That's low relative humidity, the main problem in cold weather. Most heated homes in winter drop to 20 to 30% humidity. That's drier than many deserts. And here's why this matters enormously for people over 60. Your mucous membranes, the moist lining in your nose and throat, are your body's first line of defense against viruses and bacteria. When humidity drops below 40%, these membranes dry out and crack. They can't trap and remove pathogens effectively. You become significantly more vulnerable to respiratory infections. Research published in environmental health journals found that people over 60 living in homes with humidity below 35% had 50% more respiratory infections during winter compared to those maintaining 40 to 50% humidity. On the opposite end, if humidity rises above 60%, you face different problems. Your sweat doesn't evaporate properly, making you uncomfortable. More importantly, high humidity creates perfect conditions for mold, bacteria, and dust mites. All three are terrible for respiratory health, especially in older adults whose lungs are already less efficient. The optimal range? 40 to 60% humidity year-round. But here's the problem. You can't feel humidity accurately. What feels comfortable to you might be 30% or 70%. You need actual measurement. Danger number 2. Fine particles you can't see. Every time a car drives by, every time someone cooks, every time construction happens nearby, microscopic particles fill the air. These are measured as PM, particulate matter, classified by size. PM10 are particles up to 10 microns. These settle in your upper airways, your nose and throat. PM2.5 are particles up to 2.5 microns. These are small enough to penetrate deep into your lungs. PM1.0 are particles up to 1 micron. These ultrafine particles can actually cross into your bloodstream. The smaller the particle, the deeper it penetrates, and the more dangerous it becomes. Studies from major medical journals show that long-term exposure to PM2.5 levels above 12 micrograms per cubic meter increases risk of cardiovascular disease, respiratory problems, and cognitive decline. For people over 60, the risks are even higher because your body's ability to clear these particles from your lungs decreases with age. And here's what surprises most people. The biggest source of indoor PM2.5 isn't from outside. It's from cooking, especially high-temperature frying. One session of frying food can spike your indoor PM2.5 levels 10 to 20 times higher than outdoor pollution. Danger number 3. Chemical off-gassing. That new furniture smell? That fresh paint smell? Those are volatile organic compounds, VOCs, evaporating into your air. Some are relatively harmless. Others, like formaldehyde, are known carcinogens. The problem is accumulation. Outdoors, these chemicals disperse. Indoors, especially in poorly ventilated spaces, they concentrate. And many common household items constantly release VOCs. Furniture, flooring, carpets, cleaning products, air fresheners, even new clothing. For people over 60, This matters more because your liver and kidneys, which process and eliminate these chemicals, work less efficiently than they did when you were younger. The same exposure that might not bother someone younger can cause headaches, fatigue, and respiratory irritation in older adults. You can't improve what you don't measure. And unlike temperature, which you can feel, most air quality problems are completely invisible. The essential tool? A combination air quality monitor. Get one device that measures all the key parameters. CO2 levels should stay below 1,000 parts per million, ideally below 800 parts per million. Humidity should stay between 40 to 60%. PM 2.5 particles should stay below 12 micrograms per cubic meter, and temperature for context and comfort. These monitors aren't expensive anymore. Quality options exist for under $100. Place one in your bedroom and, if possible, one in your main living area. Watch the patterns. Check your bedroom's CO2 level when you wake up. If it's over 1,200 parts per million, you're sleeping in stale air every night. Check humidity in winter. If it's below 35%, your respiratory system is suffering. Check PM 2.5 after cooking. If it spikes above 35, your cooking is affecting your air quality significantly. The numbers tell the story your senses can't. Fresh air isn't optional. It's as essential as food and water. But most people over 60 grew up in an era before homes were sealed tight for energy efficiency. Modern homes trap air, and with it, all the pollutants. For your bedroom, this is critical, absolutely critical. Open a window 2 to 3 inches before sleep, even in winter. Yes, even when it's cold. Your body generates heat while sleeping. A slightly cool room with fresh air is far healthier than a warm room with stale air. If you live on a noisy street or in a very cold climate where open windows aren't practical, consider a small wall vent with a filter. These passively bring in outdoor air without requiring you to open windows. The bedroom ventilation matters most because that's where you spend your longest continuous time in one sealed space. Studies show that people who ventilate their bedrooms at night report 35% better sleep quality and wake up more alert. For your living spaces, ventilate after cooking, especially after frying. The spike in particles from cooking can last for hours without ventilation. Ventilate after vacuuming. Vacuuming stirs up settled dust and particles. Opening windows while and after vacuuming helps remove them instead of just redistributing them in your home. Create cross-ventilation when possible. Open windows on opposite sides of your home. This creates airflow that actually exchanges the air rather than just stirring it around. The bathroom exhaust fan. Check if yours actually works. Hold a tissue near the vent. It should stick. If it doesn't, your exhaust fan isn't pulling air. This matters because bathrooms generate enormous amounts of moisture. Without proper exhaust, that moisture spreads through your home, encouraging mold growth. In winter, most homes need humidification. In summer or humid climates, some homes need dehumidification. For dry winter air, get a humidifier, but choose the right type. There are 2 main kinds. Ultrasonic humidifiers break water into tiny droplets. They're quiet and efficient, but if you use tap water, minerals in the water create white dust that settles on everything and gets into your lungs. If you choose ultrasonic, you must use distilled or demineralized water. Evaporative humidifiers naturally evaporate water into the air. They can't over-humidify because air only absorbs what it can hold. They're safer because they don't create the mineral dust problem. They're usually more expensive initially, but cheaper to operate long-term. Place the humidifier where you spend the most time, typically the bedroom. Monitor with your humidity sensor. Your goal is maintaining 40 to 50% humidity throughout winter. For excess humidity. If you live in a humid climate, on a ground floor, or in a basement, you might need dehumidification instead. Signs of excess humidity include condensation on windows, musty smells, or visible mold spots. Air conditioners remove some moisture as a side effect of cooling, but if your goal is dehumidification without cooling, a dedicated dehumidifier is more effective. Modern ones have sensors and maintain your target humidity automatically. Ventilation brings fresh air in. Purification cleans the air that's already inside. When you need an air purifier. If you live in an urban area with high outdoor pollution. If you can't open windows due to allergies, noise, or extreme temperatures. If someone in your home smokes, though quitting is the real solution. If you have pets whose dander affects your breathing. If you cook frequently, especially frying. Choosing the right purifier. Look for true HEPA filtration, rated H13 or higher. HEPA captures 99.95% of particles at 0.3 microns, including the dangerous PM2.5 that penetrates deep into lungs. But understand what HEPA does and doesn't do. It removes particles, dust, pollen, smoke, bacteria, viruses. It does not remove gases or odors. For those, you need activated carbon filters. Many purifiers combine both: HEPA for particles, carbon for gases and VOCs. This combination handles most indoor air quality issues. Size matters. Check the purifier's coverage area. A purifier rated for 200 square feet won't effectively clean a 400 square foot room. Better to get a larger unit than needed and run it on low speed than to get one that's too small running constantly at maximum. For most people over 60, the bedroom is the priority. If you can only afford one purifier, put it where you sleep. Run it while you sleep. The 7 to 9 hours of cleaner air during sleep makes a measurable difference in how you feel. The best air purification is preventing pollution in the first place. Reduce VOCs. If you paint, choose low VOC or zero VOC paints. The smell of traditional paint is literally toxic chemicals evaporating. Low VOC alternatives exist for every application now. Store cleaning products, solvents, and any chemicals in a garage or utility area, not in living spaces. Every product that has a smell is releasing chemicals into your air. Manage moisture. Use exhaust fans when cooking and showering. These activities generate enormous amounts of moisture that has to go somewhere. Fix any leaks immediately. A small leak under a sink or behind a toilet can create mold problems within days. Don't dry laundry indoors without ventilation. One load of wet laundry releases several liters of water into your indoor air. Keep it clean. Vacuum regularly with a vacuum that has a HEPA filter. Regular vacuums just blow fine particles back into the air through their exhaust. HEPA-filtered vacuums trap them. Damp mop hard floors. Dry sweeping and dusting just moves particles around. Damp cleaning actually removes them. Wash bedding weekly in hot water. Your bedding accumulates dead skin cells, dust mites, and their waste. Hot water kills dust mites and removes allergens. There's been a lot of panic online about CO2 and cognitive function. Headlines scream about brain damage from indoor air. Here's the truth, and this is important. CO2 at typical indoor levels up to 2,000 parts per million is not directly poisoning your brain. It's not a neurotoxin at these concentrations. What CO2 actually is? A signal. High CO2 means poor ventilation, and poor ventilation means all those other things we've discussed. VOCs, particles, moisture, bioeffluents from your body are building up along with the CO2. When studies show reduced cognitive function at high CO2 levels, it's likely the combined effect of everything accumulating in that stale air, not the CO2 molecule itself. So don't panic about the specific CO2 number. Use it as your indicator. When CO2 rises above 1,000 parts per million, it's telling you to ventilate. The ventilation removes the CO2, but more importantly, it removes everything else that's accumulated with it. Think of CO2 like the temperature light on your car dashboard. The light isn't the problem. It's telling you about the problem. CO2 is your air quality warning light. People love to believe that houseplants purify air. NASA even did a famous study suggesting this. But here's what that study actually showed, and what it didn't. In a sealed chamber with optimal conditions, certain plants can remove small amounts of VOCs. But the effect is so weak that in a normal room with normal air circulation, it's basically unmeasurable. To significantly clean the air in one room, you'd need dozens of plants, not a few pots on the windowsill. You'd need a jungle, not houseplants. Plants are wonderful for many reasons: beauty, humidity, psychological benefits. But air purification in any meaningful sense? No, don't rely on them. Ventilation and purification work. Plants don't, at least not at the scale that matters. Here's exactly what to do, in order of priority. Priority number 1, measure. Get an air quality monitor. Place it in your bedroom initially. Check the morning CO2 level for 1 week. Check the winter humidity. Check PM 2.5 after cooking. You need these baseline numbers. Priority number 2, ventilate your bedroom. This is the single most important change. Open a window slightly at night, or install a vent if opening windows isn't practical. Reducing your bedroom's CO2 from 2,000 parts per million to under 1,000 parts per million will improve your sleep quality within days. Priority number 3, control humidity. If your winter humidity is below 35%, get a humidifier. If it's above 65%, get a dehumidifier. Maintaining 40 to 50% humidity year-round protects your respiratory system and prevents mold. Priority number 4, ventilate after pollution events. Every time you cook, especially frying, open windows or run exhaust fans for 15 to 20 minutes. After vacuuming, ventilate for 10 minutes. These simple habits prevent particle buildup. Priority number 5, consider air purification. If you live in a polluted area, have allergies, or can't ventilate adequately, a HEPA purifier in your bedroom makes a measurable difference. It's not essential for everyone, but for some people, it's life-changing. Priority number 6, source control. Gradually reduce indoor pollutant sources. Choose low VOC products. Store chemicals elsewhere. Fix moisture problems. Clean regularly with damp methods. Let me be direct about something. When you were 30 or 40, your body could handle poor air quality more easily. Your lungs had excess capacity. Your immune system responded faster. Your mucous membranes were more resilient. Your liver and kidneys processed toxins more efficiently. At 60, 70, 80, you don't have those margins anymore. Your respiratory system has less reserve. An infection that would have been minor at 40 can be serious at 70. Inflammation that would have resolved quickly now lingers and accumulates. The same indoor air quality that barely affected you decades ago now has measurable impacts on your sleep, your energy, your cognitive function, your susceptibility to illness. This isn't weakness. This is normal aging. And the appropriate response isn't to accept it. The appropriate response is to eliminate the unnecessary stressors, like poor air quality, that make aging harder than it needs to be. Studies following people over 65 for multiple years found that those living in homes with better air quality had 30% fewer respiratory infections, 25% better self-reported health scores, and measurably better cognitive function tests. Better air won't make you 30 again, but it will help you be the healthiest version of your current age. You breathe about 11,000 liters of air every single day. By volume, it's the largest thing entering your body. Yet most people give it zero conscious thought. We carefully choose food. We filter drinking water. We think about what we put on our skin. But air? We just breathe whatever happens to be there. For people over 60, this oversight has real consequences. Your body is more vulnerable to air quality problems than it used to be. The good news? The solutions are straightforward and affordable. Measure your air quality so you know what you're dealing with. Ventilate consistently, especially where you sleep. Control humidity to protect your respiratory defenses and prevent mold. Purify when necessary. Prevent pollution at the source when possible. These aren't complicated interventions. You don't need expensive technology. You don't need to rebuild your home. You just need to make invisible problems visible through measurement. Then address them with simple, proven solutions. Your bedroom air when you wake up tomorrow morning will either have 600 parts per million of CO2 or 2,000 parts per million. That's the difference between fresh air and stale air, between restorative sleep and restless sleep, between waking refreshed and waking foggy. The air quality in your home right now is affecting how you feel today and how healthy you'll be tomorrow. You can't stop breathing, but you absolutely can choose what you breathe. The invisible threat is real, but now you know how to see it, measure it, and eliminate it. Your lungs, your sleep, your energy, and your long-term health will thank you.